Hello, my friends, and welcome to the latest black hole I'm about to throw myself into. This is Aurora 4X. This is the only game I can record right now without a proper video card, and I've been trying quite a few low-end games, and nothing seems to be working. But I was on Tortuga Power's channel yesterday watching some videos of this. He's role-playing a Star Trek theme in this game. And I thought, maybe I'll try that. And not only can I record it, I can record it at 1080p. So it's going to be another week or so before I get my new video card, so I figured I don't want to leave the channel idle for too much longer, so I figured I'd fire up a game of this since we can actually do it. Okay, so what are we going to do? First of all, this is version 7.1. If you're wondering when 7.2 will be released, the answer to that is it will not be. For the simple fact that Steve Walmsley, the author to this game, is rewriting the entire code base in a modern C#. It's currently Visual Basic 6 is what this has been programmed in. A very archaic programming language. And I know he's been avoiding doing the conversion for years just because of the amount of work it would be, but he's actually undertaken the chore now. And the next version that comes out will be version 8, and it'll be on the modern C# code base, which means you'll be able to utilize modern equipment, hardware, drivers, all that good stuff. So good news for the game. It'll definitely push it forward for the future. So let's get into it. Let's start a new game. And I hope I remember how to do this properly. I'm just going to call this YouTube. This actually doesn't apply to the game at all. It's kind of like the save game name. So it's not going to be in the game at all. The year is 2018. And sometime in 2017 there was a big ruckus on YouTube. I guess one YouTuber decided to slam another YouTuber, and things escalated from there, and it bled into the real world, and there's fights and riots, and police were called, and armies were brought in, and then government stepped in, and next thing you know, there's all kinds of problems worldwide over it. We have every country in the world building walls, and the only problem with everybody building walls is nobody stopped to think to build a lid. So we had nuclear exchange. It's brought our world population down to about 523 million people, which is a significant decrease from the 7 billion that we used to have in 2017. And because of the nuclear exchange, there are no missile bases left in the world. We kind of shot our wad in that exchange. So that's how that's going to happen. We're going to start with a conventional start. So we have a bunker full of scientists right now, and they have discovered a theoretical new way of doing things. They still need to do a bit more research on it, but there's some new elements that they've discovered that exist in the universe. Trans-Newtonian elements. So they need to do a bit more research on that, and it'll basically leap the human race into a spacefaring race. And we'll be able to finally transverse the stars and see what else is out there in the universe. So we're going to be the Terran Federation just because I'm very unoriginal and couldn't think of a better name. Yep, that's me. Government type, I'm just going to go with the default, and I'm going to go to a theme of Canada just because that's where I am. And Earth will be our homeworld. And I don't know what else we need to do other than set this number here to 0. These are non-player races, and they will spawn as we progress in the game, as we enter new systems. There is a percentage chance that a non-player race will spawn in that system. And the reason we're setting this to 0 is if we have one non-player race in the game, that non-player race will start traveling to other systems and spawn other non-player races, and chances are by the time we get out there, there's going to be dozens of these out there, and we probably won't really have a chance. I'm not really that good at this game, let me tell you. I've probably forgotten more than I ever knew about it, so by setting this to 0 just gives us a little more time before chaos happens, I guess. Best way to put it. I don't really know what a lot of this stuff does, so I'm not going to confuse anybody by trying to explain it. The only other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put orbital motion for asteroids on. We can shut this off later if it becomes a problem, but for the early game, I think we'll be fine with that on. It might make the turns a little bit longer, but from my test game, it didn't seem too bad. So all this other stuff we're just going to leave as default. I think that should be fine. And just do another double check. It's recommended soul jump points to be 5 or 6, so maybe I'll just throw that to 6. It just gives us a few more, I guess. And I think that's about all we need to do at this point. So I'm just going to hit create game. And race generation complete. This is just our race, and starting industry has been created on the based on the population size and government type. So I'm going to hit OK there, and now it's going to generate the rest of the game. This will take a few seconds, or actually a minute or so on my machine. We're going to start in the Sol system, so we're going to be very familiar with what we're going to be looking at. We'll have Earth, Mars, Venus, all that kind of stuff. We could start a random solar system if we want, and I looked up an article on how to do that, and it's way complicated, so I decided, nah, we won't get into that, just because, number one, I'm super green at this. I did dabble with this game a couple years ago, but like I said, I've probably forgotten more than I ever knew about it, so I'm just kind of going with what I saw in Tortuga Power's playthrough. I've only watched a couple episodes of his, but my plan is to record like 1 or 2 episodes today. And then I'll play an off-camera game for the next couple days until I'm ready to do episode 3. I'll get some feedback from you guys on all that kind of good stuff, and then we'll proceed from there. Get a little more familiar with things before I go with episode 3. A very good game. I do remember I did enjoy what I played of it a few years ago, so it's just way complicated. And not much to look at either, so I'm not sure how this playthrough will be accepted, but we're going to go with it anyways because it's the only thing I can do for my channel right now. So game setup complete. Press select to enter the game. So let's go OK. And there's our game YouTube. And you can, these are, like I said, these are basically like save games. So we're going to go with game 1 was my test game. And we're going to hit select. And there's a game screen. Nice, eh? Enjoy. Have an eyeful. So our main screen that we need to go to is System Maps, which is F3. If you hit F3, this brings you to this map here. And this is our solar system. It's just a big blob of labels right now. But I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And if we look around, we can see Uranus. And I think Neptune is out in this ring here somewhere. There it is right there. And the rest of the stuff is in the middle where we are. Saturn's there. But I'm going to turn these asteroid names off. Most of these on the outer rim are just numbered asteroids anyways. There's a couple with specific names. Not too many though. So we're going to turn the names off just to clean up the display a bit. There we go. That's a little better. And these are jump points. These are jump points, I believe. I haven't even played this game to the point where I get out of our solar system. So I haven't encountered an enemy or nothing. And so this is going to be quite interesting, I think. Could be the biggest fail on my channel yet. So just to have a quick word about this. These are comets, and they're in motion right now. As you can see, they're heading towards the center. They basically come in around the sun, turn around, and head back out. So this little tail here denotes which direction they're heading in. So these ones here are heading towards the sun. These two here are heading away from the sun. So that sort of gives you an indication of what direction stuff is moving in. Once we get ships built, and depending on what our time increments are, this tail will be various lengths. So let's zoom in a little further. And here we are. Here's Earth right here. So if we click on that to center it and then zoom in, we can see that there's our moon, Luna. And we'll just click on the sun again just to center the display on that. Okay, and these are all the asteroids out here. These do have names as well. I've just got them shut off. These actually have names, they're not just numbers. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll be exploring all these as time goes on. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need a governor of Earth. So we're going to come into this icon here that looks a bit like Will Riker, and we're going to go to Commanders. Okay. And in here, the first thing I'm going to do is click Automated Assignments. We're going to end up with hundreds of commanders and officers and everything, and there is absolutely no fun to be had in trying to assign those manually. There is no point in micromanaging any of that. There are a couple things that this does not cover, though, and civilian administrators, and Governor Earth is one of them. So if we click on this, we can see that it needs an administrator of level 2, administrator level 2. And we have a few who are qualified for the job. Basically, these Morgan, Stevens, and Bailey Roberts are not qualified for this position because they're only administrator level 1. So we need an administrator level 2 minimum, which leaves Charlie Stone, Taylor Leach, and Zachary Chan. And what we're looking for here, if we come up here, we can see the ratings and bonuses here. And we want, there's a couple things we want to look for maybe. First of all, mining bonus. Very important. This will make us, this will allow us to mine stuff quicker. And we got a population growth 10%, a factory production bonus of 15%. This is actually looking pretty good. Let's see what Taylor Leach is like. You got 15%. So 25, 15, factory bonus 5, factory bonus 30. But I think mining is going to be the important one here. Mining bonus 25%. That's actually pretty good. And plus a population growth bonus and a factory bonus altogether. That's actually pretty good. So I think Charlie Stone is going to be our new governor of Earth. We'll set that in stone, so to speak. So let's assign him. There we go. So governor of Earth is Charlie Stone. And as you can see, 1st of January 2018, assigned to the governor of Earth. Okay, so that's that. The other position we need to fill is under naval officers and staff officers. And if we click on captain, we can see fleet headquarters needs a commander, and we need a rank 3 officer for this. So that basically means captain or above. So commanders and lieutenant commanders are not qualified for this position. We have 2 captains and 1 commodore who are. So let's have a look and see who we have. We have Sam Campbell. He's got a few bonuses here, which really don't apply to the position we're looking for here. Fighter operations bonus, fleet movement initiative. And let's see what our commodore looks like. Isabella O'Brien. Yeah, I was hoping there'd be somebody with a survey bonus, but it doesn't look like there is. Terraforming bonus, mining bonus. Again, I don't think the mining bonus applies to this position, so it's probably not going to help us out much. Fighter combat. Let's have a look at our captains one more time here. Fleet movement. This might make our ships a bit quicker. I'm not sure on that, but I'm going to select Sam Campbell anyways. So let's assign him to the position of Fleet Headquarters Commander. Okay, so let's get out of this. And next screen we need to come into is the first button here. I think the first few buttons here bring up the same screen. They just default on different tabs. If we click on the research button here, it'll bring us defaulted to this tab here. Okay, so let's have a look. Political status, imperial population, species is human. Planetary suitability is basically 100%. This is colony cost. So basically, we're on Earth. It's 100% suited to human populations. But if we were on the moon or something, there would be an infrastructure cost to actually have a colony there. I don't know a whole lot about what a lot of these numbers mean, so I'm not going to confuse anybody by trying to speculate. There's a population number there, and we have a certain amount of people doing various things, manufacturing, service industries. And we have shipyard workers, maintenance workers, so that's where our populations are distributed for as far as manufacturing and production goes. We have a military academy of level 1. First thing I'm probably going to do is increase that to level 2. This basically dictates how quickly scientists and officers spawn in the game. So another level on that will definitely be helpful to us. And some space tracking. We have 1 shipyard with 1 slip. That's where we build our ships. We have 5 maintenance facilities, which really don't apply to us in the beginning here. Not for a little bit until we start getting into some military stuff. Conventional industry, that's what's doing all our production or mining and stuff for us right now. Research labs are 5, and the rest of this stuff I'm not going to really talk too much about. Fuel reserves, we have 0. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so that's that tab. If we come into industry, you can see we can do 4 different types of installations here, and Military Academy is indeed one of them. But there's a few things we can do. We can build missiles, fighters, ship components, planetary defense stuff, which will come in a little bit later. So we're going to stay on installations, and we're going to build a military academy here. And if we come down here, we can see the cost of what it's going to cost us to do this. And you can see 1,200 Terranium, and maybe I'll stop right here and we'll go to the next tab and talk about the minerals for just a minute. So these are the trans-Newtonian minerals, elements, minerals, whatever you want to call them. This is what our scientists have discovered. And these have always existed on Earth. It's just we didn't have any way of detecting them or extracting them or anything like that until just recently. We still need a little more research on how to effectively do it, but we know these are here and we know we can extract them. We just got to figure out how to do it. We can do a little bit now with our conventional industry. We've actually already extracted 100 of each of these, probably for research purposes. But now we need to do some annual production, and that's what these numbers are here. And this is the quantity of each one of these that we have on Earth. And accessibility is important. Basically, accessibility 1 is the best, and 0.1 is the worst. So an accessibility of 1 means we can basically dig this out with a backhoe in our backyards. It's very abundant and very easy to get at. Well, I don't know whether it's abundant, but very easy to get at. Not too much danger involved in grabbing it. So we're basically kicking it down the street with our toe. 0.1 or say 0.4, it's a little trickier to get at, more dangerous, more specialized equipment is required, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just looking at these numbers. Some of these are a bit troublesome. These are actually quite low, and I'm not exactly sure what any of this is really used for other than thorium is fuel, and duranium is like the new building material. It's the main building material in the game. It's used in pretty much everything. It's kind of like iron. So that's I think the new steel. I think Quill 18 once described it as, which is pretty accurate. So we have thorium here, and as you can see by the color, we have a bit of a shortage going on because we're using more than we're actually stockpiling at the moment. But we can take care of that in a second. So let's come back to industry. And as you can see, this particular military academy is going to cost us 1,200 duranium, 300 cobramite, 300 titanium, 300 uridium, and 300 corundium. And right now we only have 100 in stock. So if we take our military academy and we come down to create industrial project for military academy, we're going to build one. We're going to use 100% of our construction percentage to create that. And this will be done on the 26th of December 2019. And if we roll over this number here, this is our current construction rate, 1050. And if you look at the last item there, governor bonus, that's our 15% bonus from our governor that we hired to be the governor of Earth. So we're getting a bit of a bonus in our production here, which is very good. Okay, so let's go to the mining tab again. Oh, and this will be done at the 26th of December 2019, which is a couple years away yet. So that's how long it's going to take us to do this. So let's go to mining, and I'm just going to come down here and hit refresh all. And now we can see our projected usage has changed. This is the 1,200 duranium we need to build that facility, and then the various other things as well. Okay, now fuel, because we're running a shortage, we can actually stop our fuel production. We don't have any in reserve right now, which is a bit of a problem. And in my test game, what happened is I turned this off immediately and then didn't produce any fuel. Built my first ship and then didn't have any fuel for it. And it was basically just a rock in space. I couldn't do anything with it because there was absolutely zero fuel. So I'm not going to stop it right now. The only real major thing about having it running right now is we're going to get a bit of a nag in the log that we're short on thorium. We're short on thorium, and it's just going to keep nagging at us. But we'll build up about 1 million liters, and then we'll stop it for the meantime, and we'll work at it that way. We have some shipyards here, or a shipyard. We have Baker's Shipbuilding and what's it called? And Marine. Okay. Should we rename that? Rename. Oh, system body. No, I don't want to do that. Where do we rename this thing? Rename Space Yard. Okay, I'm just going to call it Starlab Systems. Oops. Okay. There. And it's a non-commercial space yard, which means we have to build a commercial space yard eventually, which is going to give us much bigger capacity for our freighters and stuff. But right now we have a non-commercial shipyard, but we can still build our commercial ships here. And our first commercial ships are going to be things like geological survey vessels and that kind of thing. So we can actually utilize this for the meantime. It has a capacity per slipway of 1,000, which is quite small. We need to bump this up before we can build any ships here. So we're going to get going on that right away. So if we drop down task type here to add 1,000 ton capacity per slipway. We can do it by 1,000. I'm going to go 2,000. because I happen to already know that we need at least 3,000 to 4,000 capacity slipways in order to build our first exploration ships. So I'm going to bump this up eventually to 4,000. If we add 2,000, it'll bring us to 3, and once that's done, we'll add one more 1,000 to that, and that'll give us enough space to build our first exploration ship. So we're going to set that activity. It's going to take a bit of time to do. It's going to be 1st of January 2020, which is no big deal. We got a bit of time before we're ready to build our first ship anyways. And hopefully we'll get done a bit quicker. I don't know if there's any bonuses that'll help push that along at all. Maybe, I'm not sure. So this is where we can build our ships, and if we have any ships building, they'll be listed in this tab here. So if we go to research, we can see that we have a bunch of scientists sitting here just waiting to do something. And the first thing we got to do, and if we come down to, say, biology, and then I'm just going to come down and click on all projects, and we'll just give you an idea of just how much tech is in the game here. There are 8 different areas of research for covering various topics. And if we look at the list here, you can see it's pretty extensive. And a lot of expensive stuff. Here's one here that's 5 million research points. Right now we're producing 200 research points. I'm not sure how much of a tick that is. I don't know if that's annually or monthly. Annual. I think it's annual. So it would take us a long time to do that. This particular tech isn't available to us right now anyways, but it gives you a bit of an idea of just what's in the game. There's a lot of stuff here. So we're not going to run out of things to research anytime soon, that's for sure. So I'm just going to go back to available tech. And the first thing we need to do under construction and production is trans-Newtonian technology. So our scientists are sitting in a bunker with a theory right now. They haven't really done a whole lot. They've experimented a bit, extracted a few minerals and elements, and played around a bit, but nothing really concrete yet. So we still have some research to do before we can actually start using these elements. And if we come over here to scientists, we can see that we have some specializations. We have a few that specialize in a few different areas. And we are in construction and production, and as I can see, there is absolutely nobody specialized in this area, which is a bit of a drag. But we do have some bonuses on these scientists. So, for instance, Freya Todd has a 25% bonus, and her specialization is logistics and ground combat. So if we put Freya, I'm just going to actually do this. We're going to assign Freya to do their trans-Newtonian technology. It's just asking us if we're sure to do that, and yes, we are. And this comes up here now. And as you can see, logistics is their specialty at 25%. Now, we're going to get that 25% bonus while researching this regardless. But had this particular scientist been specialized in construction and production, we would have got 4 times the bonus, which would have meant we would have doubled our research. It would have been 100%, not 25%. But because it's not specialized in the particular area we're researching, we only get one time a single bonus value out of that. We'll keep an eye on the log, and if any other scientists spawn in the construction production area, then we'll swap Freya out for the proper scientist. But for now, we'll just take the 25% bonus and live with that. And I think that's kind of all we need to do right now. One thing I am going to do just before we get going is I'm going to click on Show Events here. And that's just going to show our events down here. It's going to show it on this screen for us. And it's the same thing that shows up in this screen here. It's just we don't have to have this screen open to see what's going on. And I'm just going to hit default colors. It doesn't change anything right now, but it'll put color codes to all the event types, so it's a little easier to look at a bit later. Okay, I don't think there's anything else we need to look at. I'm just going to bring up the Minerals tab. And as you can see, here's Earth. It's the only thing we know. We haven't surveyed anything else, so here's all our trans-Newtonian minerals here. And the accessibility. And, okay, so here's Earth. Now, if I'm going to click these on as well. Show surveyed bodies. So I'm going to click that on, and if you look at Earth now, there's a little ring around it, which denotes that we have surveyed Earth. We already know what Earth is all about. And if I show mineral concentrations as well, it brings a second circle around it, showing that there are actual minerals on this planet. If there's nothing here, then we just get the single circle. If there are elements here, we get the double circle. So it's just a bit of a visual aid for us. Okay, so there's not going to be much exploration going on right now because there's not really much going on with all 4X games. It's a bit slow to get started, so we're just going to take our first turn. Now, I should talk about the timeline a bit here. We can take our turns at any of these increments. So we can either do 5-second turns, 30-second turns, 5-minute turns, 1-hour turns. The game basically updates everything. As you noticed when I was doing that, nothing changed. There's no events listed, nothing moved. The game processes everything in 5-day chunks. So if we go 1 day, nothing happens again. But if we hit 5 days, you can see that everything takes a bit of a shift. Everything moves. So everything is in orbit. And we have a bunch of commander assignments here. And this is why we clicked on the automatic commander assignments. This all gets done automatically, and it's assigning different people to, say, low-tech infantry, ground combat units, and stuff like that. So we don't have to do that manually. You could do it manually if you want, but yeah, I don't think that's much fun whatsoever. So we're going to be taking 30-day turns here. And they should click along fairly quickly. Yep, no worries. So I'm just going to keep laying on this button. Now I could hit the auto turns here, and basically this would just keep clicking along without any intervention and would stop whenever something we need to deal with happens. However, I find that I keep missing stuff doing that, so I'm just going to manually click the 30 days for now. Okay, here we go. So we got a few things here. I'm just going to bring up maybe the screen a bit easier to read. And there's our color coding here. We have a new officer. He's joined our Army Officer Corps, and he's got a few bonuses in that regard. And nothing else really applies to us. We're basically looking for scientists or anything that has to do with our our colony governor, or planetary governor, I guess. So we're just going to keep clicking along. And there's our thorium shortage. Mineral shortage, thorium shortage in fuel production on Earth. Okay, so let's close that. Let's come back into our industries and stuff. And if we come over here, we can see, yes, we are still running a shortage. Come back into industry. As you can see, we now have almost 1 million liters of fuel, which for now is enough. Our first initial ships, I think, have a capacity of like 50,000 liters. So this is going to be more than enough fuel for now. Later on, we're going to have better refineries that will allow us to extract the fuel even faster. So for now, we're going to actually stop this. So we're not going to produce any more, but we will still have that in reserve. Okay, so nothing else we need to look at. We'll just click along. And here come our comets. You can see them in motion. So not much to look at, but a very, very in-depth game. And next. Okay, now let's have a look at this. Okay, so basically your commanders will increase their bonuses through experience. But even though this particular scientist, Elizabeth Thompson, isn't actually doing anything, she actually increased her administrative rating to level 3. Which doesn't really help us out at all, because we could assign Elizabeth to be our colony governor and we can get that administrative rating, but I don't think we want to do that. But she could have very well got a research bonus out of that. And she wasn't really doing anything. She was just sort of sitting in the wings. But yeah, so you don't actually have to be doing anything with your characters to get them to increase a bit. And I hope I'm explaining some of this okay. Like I said, I really don't know this game very well, so this should be fun. Could be the biggest fail on my channel. And nothing there. I think our shipyard should be done here soon. Okay, now we have a health problem with one of our officers. Commander Connor Hayward has developed a medical problem that will affect his long-term health. Current assignment is Logistics Officer, Fleet Headquarters. So this is our Fleet Headquarters. And basically means he's probably going to die a bit younger and will have to be replaced. So that's kind of unfortunate. So things like that will happen in the game. So various other bonuses on the increase with various people. Yeah, not much going on. Like with all 4X games, it is a bit slow to get started. I think we're about ready to increase our shipyard capacity, or slipway capacity. Oh, and our military academy has now been completed on Earth. So let's come into here. And we do have now level 2 in military academies. So that'll mean our scientists and commanders and everything will spawn a bit quicker. And hopefully we get a construction production guy here soon with a nice bonus. I could actually get something else going here. I might try some financial centers. I'm not exactly sure what that... we don't have any. And it either affects this number or racial wealth. I'm not exactly sure which one. But I think it's probably a good thing. So maybe we'll build, I don't know, maybe 10 of those. And it'll be done in about a year or so. So 10 of those. I just want to have something building here. Okay, and there's our shipyard modified. So if we come into... I don't think there's a shipyard button. I haven't come across one yet. Anyways, the easiest way is to click the first button and then just come into the tab. Okay, so our slipway now has a capacity of 3,000. Not quite enough from what I saw in my test game. So we're going to add one more 1,000 to that. And it's going to cost us some materials to do that. And as you can see, we now have a few materials stored up. We don't have 100 anymore. We have 1,300. So we're going to set that activity. And if we come back into our mining, you can see that our stockpiles are now growing. And we have a little bit of usage for that slipway. Or is it that slipway? Hang on, refresh all. Ah, there we go. So there's our slipway production there. That's probably for our financial centers or something. Okay, so that's our slipway increased, and the other 1,000 won't take long to do either. Just kind of scanning those events at the bottom to see if anything applies to us. We had a lieutenant commander join us. And we have Colonel Nicholas Foster has been killed in an accident. Assignment to death, CEO of 15th Low-Tech Armor. So he was in charge of an armor division, and unfortunately he's been killed in an accident. So the game will automatically reassign somebody to that position for us. And civilian, oh man. Civilian Administrator Bailey Roberts has been killed in an accident. He was unassigned anyways. Not a big deal to our mission anyway, but unfortunate nonetheless. Don't mind me, I'm just looking over the log, make sure there's nothing we need to deal with. And there's our other 1,000 capacity. And our financial centers are now done as well. So this is now empty. However, I think we're just on the verge of getting our research done. Oh, 2 more years. Oh, really? That's actually taken longer than the other game I played. I think it was done in 2019 or something. So that's a little unfortunate. So our 1,000-ton capacity is now done. I'm just going to leave it at that. I could increase that again, but I think just in order to let our minerals build up a bit, we won't spend too many more. So we're going to just leave it at 4,000. That's more than enough, or just enough, I think, for our first exploration ships. Okay, so I think what I'll do... yeah, we're going to be another year yet before anybody's done. And we're sort of at the end of the episode anyway. So maybe what I'll do between episodes, I'll just click this along. I don't think anything else of major importance is going to happen until our research is done. So maybe I'll do that between episodes. And when we come back, we'll have that research finished and we can carry on at that point. So if you're willing to stumble along with me and see how well we do with this game, more power to you. Yeah. We'll give this a shot since it's the only game I can really record right now. And we'll see how we do. And I'll put a link to Tortuga Power, his playlist of this game in the description in case you want to see more of this game. And it's quite interesting. It's interesting to play. I'm not entirely sure how interesting it is to watch. But it is a free game. I'll have links in the description on where you can download it and everything as well. So if you want to check it out, go there and download it and let me know how you make out, because it is a monster of a 4X game. It's probably one of the deepest ones out there. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode.